everyone, it's Raquel of Raquel's Carbon Cuisine, and today I'm going to be making some Jamaican beef patties. Beautiful flaky crust, juicy well seasoned beef filling. These were perfect if you should ask me. Absolutely delicious. So we're going to start with the patty crust, okay? And all you're going to need is 4 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to add some salt to this, also some baking powder, a bit of sugar. In everything you need a bit of balance. Going to add some turmeric powder, which give the crust that awesome color, a bit of curry powder for that kick in flavor. Yes, also in with some Cookeen, and this is a solid fat which gives the patty crust that flakiness. Any shortening, lard or butter will get the job done. Also, I'm going to add some margarine, and you want these to be frozen, not room temperature, and that's how you acquire that flakiness. So now we're going to incorporate all the ingredients, and my aim right now is to distribute the shortening and the margarine evenly within the dough to get that bread crumbsy kind of texture. Yes, so now in with some ice cold water, and I'm going to knead until everything comes together nicely, and the ice cold water is what's going to help the shortening and the margarine to stay solid within the dough, and that is how you acquire a flaky crust. And I'm going to knead this just long enough for the dough to come together nicely. Then I'm going to place this into the refrigerator to rest for about 30 minutes, keeping it nice, cold and solid. Then I'm going to use that time to prepare some flavorful beef filling. So now that we have the dough nice and pat, now to my pot, I'm going to add 1 pound of ground beef, and this hardly have any fat, which is just great. Wouldn't have too much grease to work with. Now I'm going to mix this until all the pink is gone. Then I'm going to season this nicely. Now in with a tad bit of salt, some black pepper, and of course some jerk seasoning. We're making a Jamaican beef patty, and this jerk seasoning of all the authentic ingredients: pimento seeds, that spice, just about everything. And this Jamaican patty would be nothing short of authentic. Yes, now in with some finely chopped onion and garlic, also some fresh scallion and thyme, which is a must. Also gonna add some chopped Scotch bonnet pepper. Did I mention authentic? Yes, and the flavor from the fresh thyme on the Scotch bonnet pepper smells so good. Now in with some soya sauce mixed with water, and this actually gives great flavor, but be mindful of the salt content because soya sauce is salty, and this is looking good but it's runny, and you really don't want this to be running out, leaking out in your patty dough. No, and that's where the breadcrumbs comes in, and this absorbs the liquid, but at the same time it keeps the beef moist and soft. Now you want to taste your beef filling, make sure the flavor is on point, and this is perfect, but the texture is a bit too chunky. You want it to have a nice smooth consistency. So now I'm going to add about half of the beef filling to my mini blender. Yes, I'm going to give this a nice pulp, and this is the consistency you want. This is a texture you're looking for, not runny, not too dry, but smooth and juicy and so flavorful. And it's done. Now I'm going to allow this to cool. Now back to the dough. Right, so now that the dough have been resting, it's nice, sticky, cold. I'm going to dust some flour on. I'm going to divide this in 2, working with half at a time, and I'm going to roll this out nicely. Now to this, I'm going to add some shortening and margarine, and this is nicely frozen, which is going to give you an even distribution. Now you're going to fold and you're going to roll, and you're going to add more solid fat. 3 layers of solid fat. Yes, and this technique is how you make a flaky pastry. The more fold, the more flakes, and a Jamaican patty is really not the same without a flaky crust. Yes, and when it becomes sticky, you just dust some flour on and continue. So now that we have created all of those layers, the dough have become warm and we really don't want a greasy mess. So back in the fridge for another 15, maybe 20 minutes so it could cool down a bit. So 20 minutes later, this dough is nice and cool, somewhat firm in texture. We're going to roll this out and we're going to make some patties. And this beef filling have cooled down nicely, yet it's still moist, juicy actually. Now I'm going to place scoops to the dough. Then I'm going to use a pastry wheel and I'm going to cut as best as I could so I could get them to look as authentic as possible. And the pastry wheel cut and seal beautifully. Now I'm going to place these onto a grease baking tray and to a 350-degree preheated oven. I'm going to allow these to bake for about 35 to 40 minutes. "35 minutes later, oh my goodness, these doesn't get any better than this. My kitchen smells like a tasty patty shop. These were soft yet flaky. I can't wait to bite into one and show you. Still piping hot, but oh my goodness, the flavor was on point. The meat texture was perfect. This was way better than I anticipated, and I am a lover of a good Jamaican patty. Absolutely delicious. The crust was flavorful, not to mention the beef filling. The flavor from the Scotch bonnet pepper and the fresh thyme was so outstanding. I actually don't have words. These were really so good. And for a cheese patty, which I also love, you're gonna cut the seal. You're gonna add a slice of cheese. Yes, a full written recipe will be listed down below in the description box. And I just want to thank you so very much for watching.